Some of us aren't looking to leave teaching, but we get a surprise that our jobs won't be there for us next year. And that's exactly what happened to Sarah. Sarah wasn't expecting to leave teaching, but her story shows that you can create your own path with entrepreneurship, even if you don't have it all figured out yet, using some of the skills that you developed as a teacher. Listen up and get ready to learn and be inspired.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am doing well.
Well, thank you so much for taking this time to meet with us. Thank you so much. And now I'm glad we get to talk a little bit more about how you made this kind of shift over to entrepreneurship and about your teaching background. So I guess we'll just get into it if you're okay with that.
Absolutely.
Okay. So first of all, tell us what you did for teaching. Like what kind of teaching career did you have?
I started out as a long-term sub in remedial math for 8th graders. So it's kind of a fun challenge, but math and science aren't my domain. So I ended up teaching English full-time for about 3.5 years.
Well, that's a big switch from the math and science over to the English.
Yeah. I was just subbing at a school, and then I decided to join the district as a paraprofessional, since I hadn't passed my teaching certificates yet, or my teaching tests.
Right.
So I joined as a paraprofessional in February, and then by the next August, I had my first full-time teaching job. I started at a school that was like a magnet school for children with dyslexia. I ended up getting surplus from there a month into it. I, being like this little girl that grew up in a very bubble, like sheltered life, I was kind of like, what am I doing? And I remember sitting in my car crying every morning before I went into work for the first week, just like, what did I get into? But it ended up being the most amazing year of my life.
In what way?
Just the connections I made with the kids, and just seeing like the transformation of the kids throughout the year. It was just incredible. Because it was a turnaround school, they were going to get rid of all the new teachers because the school didn't make the grade. At least, so I ended up moving to a different school where I taught the advanced and gifted kids.
Oh, wow. You went from remedial to the advanced and gifted. So what was that like for you?
I mean, that was a great experience. That was, those were the kids that if there was something going on in the hallway, I could leave my door open, step out, take care of it, come back, and they'd be teaching themselves. Like there would be another kid in front of the class going over the lesson, like, here's what we're doing today. It was...
They wanted to learn and be there. And these were still, it was middle school the whole time.
Absolutely. And then these kids were so amazing.
So you really enjoyed that rapport with the kids and watching their growth. And that's why you wanted to stay with it. Absolutely. But obviously you didn't. So what made you decide to leave teaching?
Well, so after the school with the gifted kids, they were going to give me, the normal 6 classes a day. 3 of those classes would have over 60 kids each for English. And I said, absolutely not. So then I went to a charter school from there. Kind of the same experience as far as like breaking the law. They actually pulled me out of class one day and made me change kids' grades because I had a kid in my class who sexually harassed 3 different girls, did some inappropriate behavior right in front of my desk in my classroom in the middle of class one day. And the kid was still sitting in my class. And when I said something about it, the dean of students looked at me and said, we don't discipline the kids like we should because we're too afraid of lawsuits. Between those 2 things, that was kind of my breaking point at that school. And I said, I'm out of here. Like, I'm not putting my certificate on the line because you guys want to be negligent.
Yeah.
So I went to another charter school, which I loved. and I was a permanent sub for a computer class until the teacher came back from maternity leave. That was going to be after spring break of 2020. We all know what happened.
Yeah.
Um,
Everything shut down.
yeah, and my teaching certificate was set to expire in June of 2020. And after the experience that I had that fall, I said, I am not getting it renewed. I'm not doing this. I remember being back in Ohio during the lockdown of 2020. I was like, oh, I'm only here for 2 weeks. Everything will go back to normal. Trying to access my school email. I can't access my email. So I called them and I said, hey, what's going on? Oh, well, we don't need subs. And so, sorry, you don't have a job.
Oh my goodness.
And so after, applying for jobs in the middle of everybody else getting furloughed, I do have an MBA, which I had prior to that. So I'd always get back, you're overeducated, underqualified for this job. We'd have to pay you too much and you don't have the
So when you were looking for something after finding that you didn't have a job anymore and you were looking for other jobs back in using the business degree.
Right. So from March through July of 2020, I get reports back from jobs. You and 700 other people, and over 1,000 other people applied for this job. And I wasn't getting the callbacks. I ended up going for my MBA with a focus in human resources because at one of my previous jobs, I was training and developing new hires. And that was kind of my wheelhouse. And I was like, I love training people. I love educating.
Right. And that ties in very well with the teaching and being that support person.
Absolutely. And so after probably 5 to 6 months of trying to find a job and not getting anywhere, I said, you know what? Why am I spinning my wheels? Why am I doing this? I have a photography business that I kind of started on the side back in 2016. I have my Rodan and Fields business that I started in 2018 that I haven't been doing much with. Let's put those to use now and let's start something for myself that somebody can't take away from me.
More of a sense of control rather than you were at the whims of everybody else with the teaching.
Absolutely.
And sorry, what was the second one? You said the photography, and what was the other one?
It was Rodan and Fields hair care and skin care.
Oh, okay.
And that I mostly just did because I fell in love with their products. And if you sign up to be a consultant, you get the discounts. And so for me, it was a no-brainer. Yeah, I'm saving how much money by signing up as a consultant. Even if I'm not selling products, I'm still getting my discounts. And so it just kind of rolled over into that. I did photography in 2020. 2021, I had major back surgery with all kinds of complications that lasted. My mom came down to help me.
Oh, you poor thing.
So with all of that happening, photography just kind of wasn't an option anymore.
You couldn't go out and be there to take the pictures.
Yeah, I mean, because you're on the ground a lot and you're getting up and you're just moving all over and going on so many different terrains that I'm just like, after back surgery, that was not an option. So I kind of turned my wheels and really started focusing on what I was passionate about. And I said, I'm using Canva every day. I'm helping people design things. Like this is what I love to do. So I created Wanderlust Elevated Marketing and Branding, and here we are. And I love that it still brings in the education side. I do a Build My Brand course that I offer that helps people from, step-by-step guide from Business 101 of your SWOT analysis to your competition analysis, all the way up to, okay, who's my target audience? What's my click funnel going to look like? What are my brand colors? What's my logo? All of that. What does my brand say about me? How do I keep it cohesive? What is my message to other people?
Yeah. So really the course is helping them with those foundational concepts to come up with their marketing message and their brand identity in a way. Okay.
Absolutely.
And so talk a little more about Wanderlust Elevated. And so you said you've got the course, and what else do you do with your business?
So if I have a client who says, oh, I just want a logo. Okay, well, tell me more about your business. Tell me, what do you want your business to look like? What do you want it to feel like? What do you want it to represent? What do you want the legacy to be down the road? So that's what I try and get across to my clients all the time is, great, I can do all of this for you, but it's not going to be authentic to you.
Mm-hmm.
But you are going to have to take time and help me through this process so I can make sure it's tailored to you and that it speaks to you.
You're guiding them through the steps so that they can be clear in voicing what their kind of brand identity is.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So if people come to me and they're like, here's what I want, do it for me, and don't really have that interaction of like, well, I want to help you stand out from your competitors. Well, how am I going to do that if I don't know enough about you to know what makes you unique or different?
So you said you have the course. How is the course set up? Is it an online DIY course, or is it something you walk through? Like, is it in person, online, or you meet with them weekly, or how do you have that set up?
It's online. And it's basically a weekly check-in. I do the weekly video or I do the weekly meeting. And then that's the other thing about the course is that it has the private group aspect where people can post.
They can ask questions and help each other.
And a lot of what I've been doing lately is design work. So people want logos. I ghostwrite a newsletter for one of my clients. Business cards, marketing materials, things like that.
Mm-hmm. And that's when you've had some like conversations with them and then you develop the materials for them.
Absolutely.
Based on what you come up with their identity on that.
And then another thing that I've started doing is I have clients who want to do stuff in Canva, but they're like, we aren't comfortable with Canva. Can you please help us? Well, sure. I've been using Canva since 2020. So let me help you. And I will actually sit there and,
like kind of teach them
how to use it. Tutorials. That's one of the things I learned early on in business is once you become that trusted person for them, then they'll keep coming back to you.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is really going down to that, building those relationships, and you want them to keep coming back to you, right? That's how you build your business to go on.
Absolutely.
So you've got the course, then you offer these kind of a la carte services. So what are some of the challenges and rewards you found of having your own business?
So challenges for sure are just, so a big part of my business is getting people to curtail their message and put their message on point.
Be more succinct.
Yes, and be able in like 30 to 60 seconds, be able to say, here's what I do, here's how I do it, and have people understand. My biggest challenge, because I cover such a wide variety of things, is actually doing that for myself. So challenges, definitely not having a steady income is another one.
Yep, that's a good one to point out.
Yes. And just, like day to day trying to keep up with, okay, when I was teaching, okay, I knew I had to do X, Y, Z every single day in order to be successful.
Very clear cut of what you were supposed to do. Mm-hmm.
So, and I've always been that person that's like, I need step-by-step instructions. Tell me how to do this.
Mm-hmm. It's too open. It's very open-ended, which is a blessing and a curse in a way, right?
Absolutely.
Because then it's like in the moment you could be questioning yourself, okay, what should I focus on now? And you've got that kind of flexibility of, and you were talking about before, being able to work on something that you really love, that when you made your business, right, you got to focus on the things that you enjoyed the most, even taking from teaching.
Absolutely. Yes.
And you talked about, you started using Canva in 2020. Did you put a lot into like your graphic design when you were teaching too? Because I find some teachers get really into it.
I didn't do a lot on the graphic design side, but I did do a lot on the technology side because My kids all had email addresses. They all had little Outlook suites. So I would actually, with my advanced kids, I started saying, okay, we're going to do this assignment, but you're going to keep it in a note, in like a OneNote notebook.
Right.
Put it into your little OneNote notebook and then submit it to me when it's all done with.
So I imagine you must miss some of that with the relationship with the kids. And how do you handle that?
Honestly, I kind of just build relationships with adults now, as far as like rapport with adults, as far as I go to a lot of networking meetings. I'm out and about. I love connecting people. So because I've been so blessed to have such a big network from being out and about over the last 5 years, I am very much like, I know somebody that knows this person, or I know somebody in this industry. Let me see, let me make sure it's okay with them and get you guys connected.
Well, and also it sounds like what you do with your clients too is very much like the teacher-student relationship you had when you were in the schools as well.
Absolutely. And with that being said, one of my clients that I've been teaching Canva to, she's just like, you are incredible.
Yeah,
and she's like, the way you explain it, I actually, comprehend and can remember what you're telling me. So I feel like that was a big blessing, that if I wasn't in teaching before this, I probably wouldn't be able to do that.
Very good point. And I mean, there's such valuable skills to use no matter what we do outside of teaching, that, and a lot of people are missing that. They just want to tell you without making sure that you know how to do it and enabling people.
Absolutely.
So what kind of recommendations would you have to other teachers who want to start a business?
I would say, first big thing, find out what you're passionate about, because it's not very beneficial to kind of like jump around like I did. I mean, once I was just starting to get my footing in photography, it was like, nope, okay, jumping to something else. Most of everything I did, I've just kind of fallen into. I'm finally starting to get my footing after probably about 2 years with marketing and branding. So definitely make sure you know.
Well, it is hard, but it's also, sometimes part of that is the journey, testing out things, right?
Absolutely.
And sometimes you wouldn't be where you are now, maybe without some of that testing out.
Very true. Well, that is true. Because
you didn't know with the photography, you didn't know you were going to have back surgery that was going to put you out for that.
Right. And so also with photography, I went through a marketing course, which is where I learned a lot of my stuff that I use in my branding course now. Embrace those skills that you learn as a teacher, that you utilize, because that will help. Your ability to connect with people as a teacher, I feel like, is so different than not having that previous experience. So definitely just lean into your abilities to connect with people and trust your gut. That's a big thing. Also, the Small Business Development Center of Northeast Florida has been a huge blessing for me, because when I started this branding business, I was just kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing. And, I kind of was like dragging my feet for a couple months. And finally I said, no, I'm going to have to just jump in. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to jump in both feet and go from there.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to, thinking about it and delaying it is harder than just going in and getting started, right?
Absolutely. So it's okay. So I guess another piece of advice would be, it's okay to not know what you don't know.
Yeah, I like that.
Sure, if you don't know something, make sure you're connected with people who can help you through that, and mentors. So my SBDC coach has been incredible. I know I can always go to him if I have questions, or if I need to know how something works in business. I can just schedule a meeting with him and say, hey,
yeah,
how do I do this? Or what do you think about that? And then as you go along and build those connections, you start learning more and doing more, and be open to learning. Be open to
Yes.
learning from everybody you meet, good, bad, and ugly.
That's some great advice. The building on your passions, getting going, open to learning, building those connections, all of those are so important to do. And it's important to stay flexible and appear too, right?
Absolutely. When I started networking, I had a questionnaire that I would always fill out I would have for my one-to-ones in case, because sometimes one-to-ones get a little awkward.
Mm-hmm.
You're just kind of sitting there like, what do we talk about next? So I actually had a questionnaire. And one of my favorite questions on that was, what is your biggest win as a business owner? And what is something that you wish you knew from day one?
Mm. And this is what you're going through when you're helping them to come up with their brand identity.
Well, so when I would come from networking meetings and have one-to-ones with people, I would actually have
those one-to-ones, right? Like coffee follow-up type things.
Yeah, just preset questions. That way it kept the
conversation going.
Instead of, him hawing around of what do we talk about next? What do I want to ask you? So
that is a great idea to have some kinds of questions that you can go to, questions that you ask to keep the conversation going. And it is awkward. It's like dating, right?
It's very much so.
Right. But you need to put yourself out there and be making those connections and following up with people, right? The fortune is in the follow-up thing. You can't just bounce from network event to network event and not make more connections with people.
Absolutely. People do business with those that they know, like, and trust. They're not going to get to know, like, or trust you in your 30 to 60-second elevator pitch. I don't care if you're going every week and doing your pitch every week. They're not going to get to know you in that time. You need to sit down, have those one-to-ones, make that time. And I will tell you, it gets easier over time to stand up in front of a group of people and give those elevator pitches, or go have coffee with somebody and talk about your business and ask questions about theirs. It gets easier as you keep doing it.
That's right. That's all very good advice. Well, before we go, can you say again the name of your company and where people can find, I'm sure lots of people who might see this would be interested in some help with developing their brand identity and messaging. So where should they go?
So my business is Wanderlust Elevated Marketing and Branding. My website
and that's spelled
WANDER, Wander, because I just love to travel and, get lost in the journey. And website's very easy. It's just WLEM as in marketing, B as in branding.com.
Keeping it short. And what about socials? What do you prefer to use? LinkedIn?
I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram with Wanderlust Elevated Marketing and Branding. Also LinkedIn, you can find my personal profile as well.
Sarah Pace.
Yes.
All right. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for this. And I wish you continued success with your business and look forward to seeing you at the next networking event that we are both at.
Yes.
And I'll send this to you when I've done cleaning it up.
Thank you. Can I add one more piece of advice?
Yes, please do. I love all this advice. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
We can always learn from each other and everybody else.
Absolutely. So 2 things I always tell people: if you are just starting a business, make sure it passes the radio test. So if you are talking about your business on the radio or a podcast like this or a show like this, make sure your business name is memorable, easy to spell, and your website is not difficult. Make sure it doesn't have a long, hard to spell word. That's why I have the WLEMB.com, because I'm just quick.
Because they're going to forget what it was.
Yes. Secondly, when you do business cards, make sure you have your photo on your business cards, because if you are in a networking meeting and people are meeting 25 other people, they're not going to necessarily remember names to faces. But if you have your face on the card, that makes it easier. Also, a QR code that goes to either your website or your link tree, your Popple, whatever.
That is really, and I'm surprised how many people don't put their pictures on. I put mine on because I was thinking, I mean, no one told me that, but I was like, oh, that makes sense to do it.
Mhm.
And it's very confusing. I came home from a networking event today, picked up a few
Yep.
cards. One of them does have a picture, and it is helpful because I'm like, wait a minute, who was this?
A fun test actually is to take your card and put it into a pile with all of the cards you've collected from a networking event or multiple networking events. Spread them out on a table and see which ones pop out. See which ones get out from all the others.
It's kind of like a hacking experiment where you're looking at those and then you learn the elements that stand out and that will help set you apart in a way, or that appeal to you even.
Yes. And again, even not just looking at your cards specifically, but what cards stand out and why do they stand out? How can you make your cards stand out?
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. Like you're learning from all the other cards, what appeals to you, what stands out. That's a great idea. I like that. And the QR code too, going with, especially I like the link tree or the Popple, because then you can always change the different links that are there. And that's a mistake I made. I put a specific link on there and then, but my next card will have a
I love my
QR code.
Popple because actually people have to give me their info in order to get my info, and then it goes to my CRM.
Very
So
nice.
it's one less step I have to deal with.
Oh, and that's always easy. I like setting up those systems. Yep. And that's what the tech learning definitely helps.
Yeah. And I help my clients set up those systems as well.
All right. Well, that's good to know. Put that in there. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for taking this time to meet with me, and I really appreciate it. And again, wish you lots of success with Wanderlust. It sounds like you're doing elevated. Sounds like you're doing a wonderful job helping your clients learn how to message themselves.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Yay. See you. Well, there's so much to take away from that conversation with Sarah. Her journey from teaching to entrepreneurship is a perfect example of how you can craft your work to fit your strengths and passions through exploration. She took her love for technology, marketing, and connection and turned it into a thriving business, all while still using her teaching skills to educate and empower other business owners. One of the biggest takeaways from Sarah's story is the importance of continuous learning. As entrepreneurs, we're always facing new challenges, and that means constantly growing, adapting, and refining our skills. That's what makes business ownership so exciting. It keeps us learning every day. That's what I love about it. Sarah also shared some other golden tips for building a successful business. Number one, find local networks and get involved. Those relationships can open unexpected doors. Two, have some go-to questions when you're networking so that you can spark meaningful conversations and make the most out of them. Three, make your business card stand out, which means including your picture and testing how it looks compared to others, them all out on the table like that. The next one, using the radio test to make sure that your business name is memorable and easy to spell and remember. Next, leverage QR codes on your business cards. That way people can quickly scan and go to a page where you're always changing out the current links, what you want. And finally, to automate as much as you can. I know I'm a big believer in this, automating as much so that, people click on something, they get into your email list automatically, and you don't have to be manually remembering all those to-dos. I hope you were inspired by Sarah's story. And if you're starting your own business and you need marketing support, be sure to reach out to Sarah at Wanderlust Marketing. You can find her at WLENB.com, and it's in the notes as well. And if you're a teacher thinking about making the leap to entrepreneurship, and you were inspired by Sarah's journey and what she had to learn, you already know that you can lead, you can teach, you can inspire others. Now it's just about finding the right business and getting all those little steps in place. Go check out my website at www.cordslindau.com. The link will be below, and you can find some ways that I can help you get your business dream started.